What is going on with the economy? In a down economy, how can a roofing business owner not only survive a down economy, but if it gets worse, what can you do? Not only will you survive this economy, but you're going to come out on top. Let's find out. Hi, this is Daniel Lakstins, and you're listening to the Roofing Business Builder Podcast. Now, you know I've been a roofer for over, 32 years. At least I was roofing for 15, and then I was in the manufacturing side of things for 17 years. But, with all my knowledge, I wanted to give back, and that's why today, and here on the show, I'm your personal commercial roofing guru. Now, the economy is looking not so good. When it was about a year and a half ago, it seemed like, things were still going to get better after this whole pandemic thing was over. But what's going on? Supply chain problems. Well, we're going to get into talking about that in just a bit. But I have a special guest. His name is Jef McCurdy. He's with Castagra. You may remember him from being on the show about a year and a half ago. And some of the things that we were talking about, I brought him on the Roofing Business Builder question and answer live weekly wins on Wednesday, this past Wednesday. And I thought, I want him back on the Roofing Business Builder podcast. And so we have a really great discussion, and there's a lot of powerful things that we share that will help you to not only survive, but thrive even after the economy gets better. But before we get into that, let's do our intention for this podcast. The intention for this podcast is say do. Say do. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'll give the credit to Duralast president or CEO. He used this actually for several years because he was trying to help people in the company that would not follow through. Maybe they'd make a promise to a customer. Maybe they said they would hit a target, but it just didn't happen. And he noticed that to be a problem. And so he implemented this thought for everyone to carry with them every day. Say do. That means that when you say something that you're going to do, then do it. And so for us roofers, we need to say do. Not only for our business, but even for ourselves and for our loved ones. When it comes to you're telling a customer that, hey, look, I'm going to do this roof for you, and I'm going to do it at this price. Well, what happens? It's not your fault, right? Because next thing you know, you can't get the materials. Next thing you know, everything is just all messed up, and then you can't come through with the promises that you made. And that's okay. You just call them up and tell them what happened. Don't run from a problem. Actually, face your problems head on. But when you have this mindset of say do in your head, then think about the realities that you're going through. And that way, when you make a promise, you'll be able to do that promise. And be sure to bring this into your family life. When you're telling your children something and you're basically making a promise to them, then be sure to do it. And especially when it comes to your significant other. If you're going to be going on a date, or if you're going to, whatever it is, if you're saying that I'm going to do this for you, let's make sure we do that, because not only will they be happy, but you'll be proud of yourself and you'll feel happy. And then that feeling that you have, the feeling of accomplishment, because every time you do, it's also a win. And then when you count those wins, then it really changes your mindset to become that awesome version of who you are. So say do. All right, well, it's time to get into my interview with Jef McCurdy. Jef McCurdy's from Castagra. He's the trainer, but he's owned a roofing business. He's worked for manufacturers, and he's very, very knowledgeable when it comes to coatings, which is one of the only things, well, not only things, but it's one of the products that is available readily in the market. So let's look into my interview with Jef McCurdy. All right, so Let me welcome my special guest, Jef McCurdy. He again is with Castagra, and just tell us about yourself, Jef, and welcome back to the show because I had you on about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was fun then. I'm looking forward to it again. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Jef McCurdy. I am the National Training Manager for Castagra Products Incorporated. I've been doing roof coatings and other coatings off and on for well over 20 years now. Um, I really have done mostly silicone over the years, but lots of acrylics. I've been certified applicator, qualified applicator, whatever they wanted to call it, with all the different programs with a lot of different manufacturers. Because when you're in the roofing industry, you get jobs that are spec'd that there's one product that can meet that, so you end up having to become a certified applicator with that brand to do it. So I kind of come at everything from a very hands-on approach.
Well, Jef, I mean, here it is. It's almost the end of July 2022. Yes, it's still hard to find single ply materials. It's hard to find certain types of materials in the roofing industry. And a lot of people, even I have the Roofing Business Builder program. I have several people in that program. And fortunately, I had helped them to find a few single ply manufacturers that actually still have materials. But I'd say the most of the roofers out there right now listening to this podcast are still trying to find a manufacturer that has things, and what we do know is there's still coatings out there. But now we have this other big problem, which is the economy really kind of sucks now. The gas prices being way too high over the past year caused shipping prices to shoot up. China still doesn't have enough materials because everyone was on vacation. Just kidding. No, everyone was at home, staying in place, trying to protect the old and heavy set people, which I get. But the point is right now we still have a limited supply on materials, which is making it very difficult for a roofer to make that kind of money that they deserve to be making. But we also now have an economy where a lot of the a lot of the roofing building owners aren't doing the full roof project. They're just
Right.
patching and patching. So how can a roofer navigate these two extremes in
Sure.
the world right now?
Well, it's been really good for us over the last couple of years because of the single ply shortages and things that way. We've converted hundreds of projects away from single ply and into coatings, and trained a lot of contractors that normally wouldn't have considered themselves coatings contractors, and they're getting great results with it. They're having a great time with it. But as people are looking into their crystal ball and starting to see, these are the signs that I saw last time we had the R word. Are we going to have another R word? Oh my God, recession, of course, if anybody's not tracking that one. But
You talk about 2008.
yeah, we're starting to see a lot of those indicators, a lot of things, ridiculously high housing prices. And I get it. It's different economic factors at play here. And I am not an economist, but I'm pretty good at patterns, and things start to feel familiar to me. And I think a lot of roofers, look, we follow weather patterns, we follow economic patterns. We're good at following patterns. We make those connections, and we're starting to see it. But asset owners, the people who we actually need to write the checks for us, are also starting to see those patterns. And so we're seeing a lot of projects right now where we had the green light maybe even 3-4 months ago, and these projects are on the schedule, and now the asset owner is going, hey, let's talk about that contract. Can we come back and scale that down a little? Can we do these things? So they're asking to spend less money. Meanwhile, we're in hyperinflation still, where the materials that were quoted 3 or 4 months ago are now still 20% more than they were when we quoted them. So how do we how do we jive with those things? And I think one of the coping mechanisms is going to be get used to the idea. Everybody loves getting the whole roof project and the big, nice before and after photos and all that. But it's going to be time to start getting used to the idea of doing a lot of maintenance work.
Yeah, and I have to vouch for that because in 2008, 2009, I actually took second place in sales for Duralast in 2009. I was a second place salesman of the salesman of the year goes to first place,
Right.
but the reason why is, I mean, I feel because I'm a law of attraction kind of guy. I'm
Yeah.
always believing in positivity and reaching out and developing those relationships. So what I found was, yes, and I only remember this recently. I guess we were talking about this. Another one of my customers that's part of the Roofing Business Builder program. We were talking. I'm like going, oh, how could I've forgotten? This happened before, right?
Right.
And the thing is what I found in 2008 is that people, multimillionaires, when it comes to a recession, or if they smell a recession, they will not spend money for larger projects. They're going to
Right.
reduce, do maintenance, or whatever they're going to do. That's what they're, and so, and that means that even the roofers listening to this program, because I was sitting there saying, well, shoot, last year people were joining my program. They needed coaching, they needed this and that. Next thing I know, I mean, I'm not doing so well financially either, because I don't have a big influx of people that say that, oh, I'm ready to spend a little bit of money to make $1 million. But and can I even deliver $1 million
Right.
for them right now with the economy the way it is? So, but this is what I told all my roofers. I had 65 purchasing customers at the time, and I told every one of them that it doesn't matter whether if we're in a great economy or a bad economy, we will survive. We
Yes.
will thrive. And we have to hold that attitude, because who do people like to buy from? Right? People that have confidence, that really know that this is going to work. And we have to convince them to let loose of some of that money. But what Jeff is going to talk about a little bit here is how to let loose, help
Yeah.
them to realize that they can let loose of that money.
You reminded me of something, that a conversation I had with one of my salespeople when we were having an economic downturn before. And he says, oh my God, the writing's on the wall. Look, we're going to hit a recession soon. And I said, good. That is going to suck so bad for our competitors. They're not going to know what hit them. And he goes, how can you be so optimistic? I said, we're not going to participate in that. We're going to win. And what that means, though, isn't we're going to go out and sell $1 million roofs at 40% margins throughout a whole recession. That may not be the game plan. One of the keys to success is going to be, how do you adjust? How do you still have a viable offering in a down economy? Well, rain doesn't give a damn if it's a down economy. It's still going to penetrate roofs.
Yeah.
And if you're an asset owner, you still don't want that asset to depreciate because it's now raining inside. Even if it's an empty asset, you've got to do at least the minimum to protect it so it doesn't just fall down. So we got really good at maintenance. So you go from a period where your average invoice is maybe $100,000 at a 40% margin. Now our average invoice might be $2,500 or $5,000, but that's going to be at 100% margin. So our profitability is actually going to increase as we do these smaller and smaller jobs, but we're going to do a lot of little jobs. It's going to be a lot of what feels like busy work and everything that way. But we want to be in contact with these asset owners, solving their problems throughout the downturn, so that we're the one whose phone rings the moment we come out of it. And that's how you really win. When your competitors are starting to say, hey, maybe I should start my business up again that I gave up on when the economy turned, you're already there, ready to be the first one out of that starting gate. And that's how you really, that's when I've seen companies that were really small in 2008. They stayed small through 2008. Come 2010, 2011, they were just on meteoric rises because they already had all the contacts. They stayed in the game.
That's it. And so what Jeff and I are sharing with you right now is a strategy that will help you to thrive during this down economy. But more than that, this strategy is going to set you up to where when you come out of the economy, you're going to be making more money than you'd ever believe. And the reason why is because in a down economy, you have the time to work on these relationships. Relationships are everything. So
Mhm.
if you are a say do kind of person, meaning that you're going to tell someone that you say to them, I'm going to get up there, I'm going to take care of your needs. And then they're going to be enamored by you. They're going to be in love with you. They're going to say, that's my roofer. When
That's
it's all
right.
over, then you get all the big ones because it doesn't matter who's competing against you. You're the person that they trust. I don't know about you, Jeff, but for me, it's like when I find a good mechanic, if I find a good someone to cut your hair, you don't want to go look for another one.
Nope.
Now you'll check their hand once in a while and say, well, I don't know, or they treat me fairly. You might check it out, but in most cases, you'll do anything in your power to give that job to someone that you really love, that you really resonate with, and who was there for you during the down times.
Exactly. And I've got relationships like that. I'm on both sides with the roofing company that I used to work with and contractors that have worked for me. And like you said, the mechanic, whatever. I don't price shop these people. I don't even look for them to give me the best deal because I know what the best deal means. It means your crappiest work you can do.
It's
I
true.
look, I keep coming back to people because I know that they're treating me fairly, whatever that margin may be for them to feel like it's a good relationship both ways. I don't really care as long as I'm getting a value out of it. And I've got great relationships that way. I do have a mechanic that I've never in 7 years taken a vehicle to anybody else. I haven't price shopped him. He gives me a price. I just know it's fair because that's the relationship I've had with him over the years. You can be that with your asset owners. Now that doesn't mean being the cheap guy. And people are always like, oh, I want to build this relationship, so I'm going to go in low with that guy. And I'm like, so you're going to set the expectation in your relationship as you have very little value. And I don't believe in that. Come in with a healthy margin, one that allows you to do good work, one that allows you to throw in the extras that are needed,
Pay
leave
your
your
bills.
recycling, pay your bills.
And have a
And
profit. That's the whole thing.
right.
It's like we have to make a profit. I'm sick of being that roofer. This is the mentality you should have,
Yeah.
roofers out there. I am sick of being that roofer that is just barely getting by and hardly making any profit because you know who's created that? Not the other roofers. You
No.
created that for yourself. And it's the mentality. But Jeff's mentality here is the mentality we want to have.
And there's going to be work. You're going to be able to. So a few keys as we get into a down economy is start start building your war chest for maintenance. So figure out what's in my war chest for maintaining what are the common roofing substrates in your area. For me, I'm in Southern California, so I don't really need to worry about having a war chest for maintaining EPDM. Doesn't exist out here. But I do need to look at what is in my war chest for maintaining built up with gravel. I need to look at modified, and I need to look at TPO. Those three specifically are going to be 90% of what I'm going to encounter out here. So for built up, maybe I am looking at, especially for emergency repairs, even something as simple as a wet patch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But let's learn the proper techniques for wet patch. I can't tell you how few times I've gone onto a roof and seen wet patch granulated the way it's supposed to be. So if we're going to be getting into the maintenance game, let's get into it properly. Let's learn the proper techniques. Let's do clean tie-ins, make it look like a professional was on this roof. Leave the clients with a good impression. So maybe that it could also be products that my company sells. We've got great offerings for built up, for single ply, for modified, for lots of different things. But whatever it is, it's not going to be one manufacturer that supplies the product line for your entire maintenance program. Narrow that down though to maybe 5 or 6 products that can handle 98-99% of your maintenance work. And then when you need the occasional oddball, out here it'd be really rare for me to find a cementitious roof. So maybe when I come across those, I might have to find, okay, what's a way here? but you get your good 5 or 6 maintenance products. They're going to get you through most of the work you're going to find. Develop the good techniques for those, learn the products, develop relationships with those reps. And the other thing too is don't just do these things as one-time maintenances. Use them as the foot in your door, or your foot in the door, to start the conversation about maintenance contracts, because that'll carry you through with guaranteed annual income.
Yeah, and I mentioned it earlier. We're going to talk how to charge for those too.
Nice.
But before we do, we really want to focus on helping you to understand that these are relationships. When building these relationships, it can be overwhelming to learn more than one new product. But right now, if you don't have a coating, then this is something it behoove you to do this right now. Well, you can even call Jef, and we'll give you his contact information after the show. Castagra is an amazing product, but did you hear what he said about having an arsenal? So, if you have a bunch of different arrows in your quiver, then that will be able to attack the challenges of each of these types of customers or types of buildings that they own. And it's very important. And so what Jef is saying, that you want to develop that relationship with a customer, but yes, number two, you need to develop relationships with manufacturers that actually have supplies ready to go. Because you cannot sit around for 3 months waiting for material. There's TPO. You can't find TPO. It's not happening. There are 3 manufacturers of single ply PVC, and I'll even name them here: Duralast. I believe, I know for a fact, Fibertite has products available. Usually we're talking about 60 days. That's still like 2 months. Right. And then lastly, I think IB and even Sarnafil. So these companies, I think it's because the chemicals that were being processed during the pandemic were still available, or maybe they may have bought in such large quantities that they were able to continue to make a product being the size that they were. So, yeah. But the first thing on this list is that the relationships are going to make you come out of this shining like a star. Should we mention anything else on this area, or should we talk a little bit about how they can go about not losing their ass when it comes to pricing a maintenance program?
You did remind me of one point, which was 3 years ago, the idea of global supply chain shortages. I would have laughed at you. Do you know how good the world was at supply chain 3 years ago? If company A didn't have something, then that meant they screwed up on their end. Mm-hmm. And you could go get it from company B, C, D, E. There was no end of competitors that you could turn to if your main product wasn't available. What we're seeing now is really unprecedented, where the base chemicals in everything from single ply, I've heard of asphalt shortages, concrete shortages, silicone shortages. The raw materials have become unavailable with all of the upsets that have happened since the pandemic. So these are not the times to just say, that's the company I've worked with for 10 years. I'm sticking with them. Because like you said, with a 60-day and 60 days to get single ply is the best I've heard in over a year.
Yeah. And isn't that great? Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing is, though, is when governments told manufacturers to shut down, well, we thought 3 months. Then we thought, well, okay, we stuck it out for a year, and then people are going out of business left and right. And then after this, so then we thought, well, shit, how long is this going to take for the manufacturers to actually have products online? Well, if we've been shut down for a year, then we're going to get products in. Holy shit, a year? Well, right. No, it's even worse than that, because those manufacturers buy chemicals from other companies that were also shut down for a year. So we have to wait a year for the other company that they buy from to get back up to making their products on a regular basis, and then the manufacturer. So we're talking like 2 years. But if they actually bought say your supply, the manufacturer supplier has a supplier that also bought from a supplier that was out or closed down for 1 year. Now you're talking 3 years. And I don't
Right.
want to scare anyone. I'd rather use law of attraction, visualize that. Hey,
Yes.
it's all back now, guys. It's all back. We're making money. Everyone's got money, but anyways, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's exactly that sort of messed up domino effect of, if a and it may be that everything is ready to go, save one component, and that one component may still be five manufacturers getting it away, because you'd be surprised how much of things, silicone starts with sand, then it goes through a reactor. There's only, I believe, four of those, and don't quote me on that, but I believe there's only four reactors worldwide. Then it goes through this, and that's a different manufacturer a lot of times each step of the way. So they could be waiting for one component that still has five steps before it gets to them. So it's a great time to avail yourself of what else is out there. So, like I said earlier, a lot of our contractors that are really happy working with us now never thought they'd be coatings guys, but these things kind of force you, the smart guys, to go, all right, what's another alternative? And it's not the time to just say, oh, this crap looks like it might work. It's a good time to figure out an evaluation process for yourself to make sure you're still delivering quality goods, but start thinking outside the box, and or as we say, start thinking outside the bucket, because everything we say comes in
I
buckets.
love it. Yeah, and the thing is we really don't we don't want to have this appearance to our customers like we're desperate or we're upset and worried, because you know why? It's because we have the confidence, because we have the knowledge. We're not afraid because we know what's available, what's not available. So when you walk in there not with a chip on your shoulder, but walk in there with such
Right.
confidence, and I mean almost be, I don't know how to say it. Not an asshole, but but
Yeah,
you got it. And that customer's going to love you for this, because
exactly.
again, a lot of times us as roofers, and we're like, on fuck, 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 fuck. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then they'll smell that on you. They'll feel it on you. You're not going to get that job because of it. And then when you get in there, if you are confident, they'll look at you like you really know what you're talking about, which you do, but you
Right.
can also know what products, and you can just tell them what products are available and say, well, that's not going to happen, but this will happen. And I can do this for you, but I can't do this. So it's all good comes down to say do. I think that might be the theme that we're covering too,
Nice.
is I mean, to build this relationship with someone, you have to to actually do the things you say. Say if you're going to go on a date with someone, if you say I'm going to be there at a specific time, you're not there, what's a chance of getting a second date with this hot beautiful thing, right?
Exactly.
so so
Uh,
that you have, and this is the relationship you want with these customers. And so say do,
yeah.
do, say it, but then do what you say, and don't lie and try to promise something when you don't know, because then you have fear and like, oh no, am I going to be able to accomplish it? And then
Right.
once you have that fear, boom, they smell it on you and you've lost that relationship. So
Yep.
yeah, just be
Be the
confident.
professional.
Yeah, keep it professional.
And be the professional when you get into that conversation with clients. Sometimes they'll have some ideas about what they want. It's important to listen to them, but it's also important, if they're looking for something that's unrealistic, you're the professional in this industry. Get them back to something that's realistic. Get them to something that's going to solve their problem within their budget, because a lot of times, we've all had those conversations. What do you want? Well, I want a roof that's going to last for 1,000,000 years. What's your budget? $6. We're going to have a problem here. We're really far off. So we've got to be the
I could do
expert.
it for $6.
Right. uh, so we've got to be the expert and educate them on, look, your budget can get you this much done. So some of the things that might look like are, maybe they'd love to have their whole roof done for $2 a square foot. Heck, you can offer me good work at that price, I'll let you do my roof, but it's impossible. I often say I wouldn't pressure wash your roof for $2 a square foot. So anybody offering that is not doing the right steps. But there may be things that we can do. Can we go through and address all of the ponding areas? Can we stripe any of the bad seams? Can we look for weak spots around penetrations and likely leak areas and address those within that budget? Well, yeah, we can probably do that a lot easier than we can try to spread that budget across the rest of the roof.
Yeah, that's what we can do. And that's what we're going to have to do. I mean, until we're through this, but we will get through it. We went through this again, 2008, 2009. We came out of it. And I
Yep.
know I think a lot of the roofers are very savvy that politics does have a lot to play with it. I know that
Sure.
who's in power right now is going to want to look like the hero that they saved the economy now.
All right.
And so I mean that because I was shocked that that they didn't release some fuel the fuel reserves. I know that previous presidents have always done that, but then someone told me, yeah, they're holding back until the election so they can look like the heroes. And I'm like, well, so if you're wondering why is this stuff happening this way, there's a few things that we're dealing with in that aspect, but it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. Things always change hands. So we're coming up that this November is going to be midterm elections. And so we should see some sort of positivity of things happening because everyone's going to be regardless what side of the aisle, they're going to
Yeah,
be promising to change everything.
exactly.
And there's a probability that we're going to see some good things happening coming
There
down.
is.
So don't lose hope, but also get excited. This is an opportunity to one, prove what kind of roofing company that you are and
Yes, it
who
is.
you're going to become. And also, it's an opportunity to develop relationships and learn new things. But don't bite off more than you can choose. Keep it simple. You
Yep.
know, like if you're going to start a product, I would say Casagra is a really good product to be your coatings line because it's not acrylic, it's not silicone, but it's a product that can be painted. I think it's compatible with almost any single ply on the market. Is that
Yep.
correct? And
Exactly.
is it urethane? What is?
It's similar to a urethane. It's a natural process that comes out very similar to a urethane. So because it's not quite categorized yet, we call it a mineral modified urethane.
Mhm.
But the principal ingredients are castor oil and gypsum, which is very unique. So when you're having that conversation with the owner and he's got the acrylic quotes and he's got the silicone quotes, here's something that really sets you apart. And so it's a good one to have. I would recommend most contractors become acquainted with our product and a couple others as we head into maintenance mode.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing too, though, is don't wait for the bottom to happen before you say, "Oh crap, now I need to get into maintenance mode." Start positioning yourself for the maintenance ahead of time, get some experience in it, learn those products so that when you go into that room, you can be the expert who knows these products and everything that way. It's not too late to start. And what I think you'll find is as we come out of this, these companies that grew as they came out of it and were positioned well because of doing maintenance the last recession, they didn't ditch their maintenance departments. They love their maintenance departments. They love their maintenance contracts. These are high profit projects that, and we all know in commercial roofing, it's feast and famine, feast and famine, feast and famine. When you've got a good maintenance department, that's going to keep your lights on throughout the year. So this is not a temporary measure. It's just a really good time to start building that maintenance department.
I was thinking too, another thing that roofers need to be concerned about too is that when you do develop, once you have this maintenance department, like what Jeff was just saying, then you want to make sure that you have those personnel intact, and then how you transition this, because what happens is once they get away from just doing the regular, you have employees that are, say, on the crew, if they aren't doing that type of work, they're going to need refreshers. They're going to have to remember how to do specific details. It just happens. Every product's different. So if you ran out of a product that you used all the time, and now you can't get that product. Now you have to learn
Right.
a new product. And when you learn this new product, the details are different because
They are.
each manufacturer has a different specification book. So just be sure to be careful about that. Make sure everyone does their homework and do your homework on each of these products.
Absolutely. Yeah, learn the products. I mean, look, we may have a little bit of downtime, because we're not going to have these big projects that take 30 days of 8-hour days to complete. You may have a work day that is only 4 hours worth of maintenance in a day. take some of that extra time and set up some stuff in your shop. Let's do some practice runs with these new products, things that way. I know nobody likes to spend the money on product that we're just going to use for practice, but believe me, it's cheaper to practice than it is to fail on somebody's roof.
Much better way of doing things.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool. I'm so glad to have you back on the show, and I think that this show has had a lot of excellent information, guidance, things that to think about so we can grow our businesses during this situation that we're in right now. But keep hope, guys. Hey, Jef, so how can someone get a hold of you if they'd like to learn more about Castagra, maybe pick your mind with maybe some questions that they've generated because of listening to the show?
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be Castagra related. I'm here to help the industry. I love this industry. It's been good to me over the years. So please feel free to reach me at jmccurdy@castagra.com, or you can reach out on LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm there as well.
That's awesome. Well, Jef, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.
Now, that was my interview with Jef McCurdy, and wasn't that a lot of good information? Jef is very knowledgeable. He's seen a lot throughout the years. And of course, he and I have been through the whole recession back in 2008, 2009, and we shared some amazing things that you can do. So remember that develop those relationships with these people that, you may not get a job, but you can always develop that relationship, and you can create a maintenance program for them and take them out for lunch, take them out for dinner, grab some beers after work or something, but develop some friendships with people that are maintenance directors and mostly building owners. And this way, when you're having this kind of relationship, when the economy gets better, then you'll start getting not only the repairs, but you'll start getting the big roofs from them too. And now it's time for Did You Know? Did you know that when it comes to coatings, there are a variety of coatings such as silicone, acrylic, and even as Jef was talking about today, we have urethane. And do you know the difference between these? I'm sure most roofers are savvy, but I have to mention this in a Did You Know. But basically, when it comes to acrylic is going to be less of a longevity thing. It's very reflective, but it's not good for ponding water. And where do most roofs have problems? And if you're going to go back and do some repairs, it's going to be in those low spots where the water ponds, because the light will reflect into that, and that's where it breaks down roofs quicker because it speeds up. It's like reflecting that ultraviolet light, which then breaks down plasticizers or whatever the product's made of. And so acrylic may not always be the best bet. If you're dealing with a building owner that's going to be selling pretty soon or just needs to get through another 4 years before he sells that building, yes, acrylic might be a good option. And there may be some better acrylics out there, but this has just been my experience with it. Now, we also have silicone. Now, silicone is actually a waterproofing system, so it can handle ponding water. So acrylic is really a good product, but the drawback, as maybe you might have heard Jef say, actually it was on the Weekly Wins, but a drawback to it is it's not very paintable, and when it comes to repairs, you have to tear it all out because nothing really sticks to it. And it could be reflective. Just check the specifications on it, on the reflectivity. Urethane, on the other hand, which I know a lot of us have used urethane caulk on edge terminations and things like that. Very durable product. It's paintable. And so those are the three, but most of the ones that we see in the market that I have seen is usually always the acrylic and the silicone, and those are usually our choices. But there are some out there that have a urethane base. But that's a Did You Know? All right, guys, that's it for the show. We've got great things coming on. Jef and I will actually be speaking at a conference coming up here in Las Vegas. Be sure to look for details on that. And check out the podcast. If you haven't seen us online, you're probably listening to this in the truck, but you can go through pretty easily on YouTube. Just go to Roofing Business Builder and on YouTube, and then you can actually look through. If you want to see us talking or the people I'm interviewing, then that would be kind of fun for you too. And check out also my TikTok if you like law of attraction, reality creation ideas, techniques. Then I usually do like 3 of those a day. And lastly, if you really want to thrive in this economy, please join the Roofing Business Builder program and let me know. I mean, if you want to join the program and you're running low on cash, I'm running low on cash at times too, especially in this down economy. So hit me up, send me an email. You can reach me at dan@roofingbusinessbuilder.com. And otherwise, you hit me up on social media or something like that. But I certainly do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show and this program. And I want the best for your roofing companies. Grow into the most amazing commercial roofing business that you could ever be. But that's pretty much it. And until next week, I don't always consult on commercial roofing, but when I do, I make millionaires. Stay wealthy, my friends.